A single word carved into a post, Croatoan, has haunted historians for centuries. If you enjoy vivid mysteries and deep visuals, like and subscribe. This helps us bring these stories to life. In 1587, about 115 men, women, and children settled Roanoke Island. Their governor, John White, left for supplies and did not return for 3 years. When he finally arrived in 1590, he found the settlement abandoned. The word Croatoan had been carved into a palisade post and the letters CRO etched into a tree. No other trace of the colonists remained. The items recovered since then, gun parts, a slate tablet, even a gold ring, seem like voices from the past. But they cannot yet speak plainly. What they leave us with is a mystery that still lingers in fragments. When John White returned to Roanoke in 1590, he expected to find the colony he had left only 3 years earlier. Instead, there were no colonists, no homes, and no fields under cultivation. The settlement stood silent. The only sign was a single carved word, Croatoan, etched into a post, and the letters CRO cut into a nearby tree. It was not a declaration, but a puzzle, a message that raised more questions than it answered. Relief that no bodies were found mixed with dread at the deeper unknown. Where had they gone? From that haunting clue, we move not to written testimony, but to what survives in the ground. Centuries later, archaeologists began searching for the next traces of these vanished settlers, and 2 sites emerged as central. On Hatteras Island at Cape Creek, a team led by Mark Horton of the University of Bristol has unearthed a dense mix of native and European objects. Separately, near the Albemarle Sound in what is known as Site X, the First Colony Foundation, under archaeologist Nick Lucchetti, has recovered shards of pottery and metal fragments that bear striking connections to Roanoke. Together, these digs form the backbone of the evidence that still fuels the debate. At Cape Creek, the discoveries suggest an entanglement of 2 worlds. European materials appear in the same layers as Croatoan artifacts. Among the most notable finds are a corroded rapier hilt in Elizabethan style, the worn fragment of a slate tablet faintly scratched with the letter M, and a small copper eyelet, likely from English clothing. Perhaps most captivating is a gold signet ring, engraved with what seems to be a prancing lion or horse, found in 1998. At first glance, it appeared to tie directly to a lost colonist, but it was recovered in soil mixed with later debris from the mid-1600s, leaving open the possibility it arrived through trade decades after the colony had vanished. There are other small but evocative items. A copper bun, or ingot, points to European metalwork not produced by indigenous communities. Bones of deer and turtles sit beside hunks of brick and iron fragments, suggesting a layered site of meals, building, and exchange. Each piece hints at settlement, but can also be read as trade object. Archaeologists often compare the scene to studying a charred spine of a book, stripped of its pages. You can hold the frame, but the full story is missing. Meanwhile, the First Colony Foundation at Site X has turned up evidence that colonists may have shifted inland. Here, the finds include border-ware pottery, an English type known from Roanoke and later Jamestown, as well as a metal hook and a small copper aglet. Crucially, these layers lack the pottery forms typical of later Virginia settlers, who moved into the region after 1650. Linking this site to the lost colonists is speculative, but the material suggests a stronger tie than chance alone. Helping to connect the dots is a clue from the era itself. John White's 1585 La Virginia Pars map, preserved in London, was long assumed to be a straightforward coastal chart. Yet in recent decades, researchers noticed a patch covering part of the inland area. Beneath it lay a faint four-pointed star symbol. Some now interpret this as a marker of a planned fort or refuge further inland. That hidden annotation provided the spark to investigate Site X in the first place, showing how a small cartographic decision centuries ago continues to shape archaeological direction today. With finds like these, it can be easy to weave a tidy story of survival. Colonists abandoning the coast, colonists absorbed into native families. But evidence makes such neat closure risky. Many European items at both Cape Creek and Site X come from mixed stratigraphic layers, levels of soil that also contain materials dating to the mid-17th century. As experts note, radiocarbon and pottery dating cannot cleanly separate 1590 from 1630. A ring or shard can move down through the earth or be kept in use by multiple generations. The line between colonist possession and native reuse is often too thin to see clearly. Archaeologists themselves urge measured caution. Ivor Noel Hume, a respected voice in early colonial studies, once remarked to colleagues that in these cases, you have more work to do. Others, like Brett Riggs of the University of North Carolina, warn against assuming European objects prove European presence. Indigenous groups were adept at scavenging and reusing foreign goods. To them, a copper tool or an iron shard was useful material, regardless of whether colonists remained nearby. So the fragments whisper at possibilities, but resist firm conclusions. The tilt of the record suggests adaptation, assimilation, or relocation, more than violent collapse. Yet the gaps are wide, and each artifact carries the weight of interpretation as much as discovery. Taken together, these finds tilt toward survival and assimilation as plausible. But the mixed contexts and dating limits mean they cannot yet be treated as proof. And it is in that space, where evidence leads us forward but never quite closes the case, that the story continues to live. What you are left to weigh is a set of traces that never quite align. On one side are the carved word Croatoan, the slate tablet with its faint mark, the gold ring, and the rapier hilt. On the other are the problems of mixed soil layers, uncertain dating, and artifacts that might have passed through native hands long after the colony was gone. Independent archaeologists remind us of the balance. These finds are striking and full of promise, but not strong enough yet to close the case. Now the question comes to you. Do these fragments point to survival, assimilation, or something else? Leave your theory below. Subscribe and turn on notifications to keep exploring mysteries like this with us. Some mysteries wait not because answers are gone, but because they're still buried, waiting for the right voice to read them.